Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Good morning. I would like to acknowledge, first of all, of course, Congresswoman Lenny Robredo, my partner in the lower house for the FOI. Thank you for your work, ma'am. Secretary Nerik Acosta, Ambassador Thomas Osowski from Germany, Ambassador Ivo Sieber from Switzerland, former Asian Deputy Secretary General Wilfredo Villacorta, Mr. Jules Matten, Country Director of the Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Freedom, Mr. Julie Minoves, President of the Liberal International, Mr. Roberto De Ocampo, Vice Chair of the Makati Business Club and former Finance Secretary, of course, Ms. Maria Ressa, our most hardworking CEO and Executive Director of Rappler, guests and FOI advocates. I would also like to thank Jules Matten of the Friedrich Naumann Stiftung. Incidentally, congratulations to Germany for winning the World Cup. It's a masterful victory. Ms. Maria Ressa, also I'd like to acknowledge, and Ms. Gemma Mendoza of Rappler for this event. And likewise to all of you who have helped organize this forum. A lot of you here have been advocates of the FOI far longer than I have. And in fact, I don't think any of you here, maybe just a few, but most of you here don't really need convincing about the importance of having a freedom of information here in our country today. So instead, I will just tell you a story to better illustrate why the FOI makes perfect political sense and why it will bring about a more stable, more vibrant, and more inclusive democracy in our country. I'm sure most of you here have also heard about the game show called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? You've heard of that, right? Most of you? Okay, anyway, the basic premise of the competition is that there are several contestants, but then the one contestant in the hot seat will choose from a list of multiple choice questions, and each time they answer correctly, they graduate to the next level. Well, anyway, part of the game, to make it more exciting as the level of questions become more difficult, is you're given a lifeline. And the lifeline is composed of either the 50-50, ask the audience, or phone a friend. The interesting part about this, in the 50-50, they whittle down the number of questions, so you have more chances of getting the right answer. But the interesting fact is between the phone a friend, meaning you call the friend that you trust the most intelligent friend you may have, or the ask the crowd. More often than not, the answers given by the crowd is more accurate than the smartest friend the audience will have. And the reason why I'm mentioning Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is because there is a book which claimed that statistically, the Ask the Audience lifeline generates the most number of correct answers, and the contestant chooses a friend in spite of the friend presumably being the smartest that the contestant knows. But the finding of the study showed that the intelligent friend is only correct half of the time, while the studio audience is almost always correct most of the time. The title of the book is The Wisdom of the Crowds by James Surowiecki. And the book's main thesis is quite interesting. He points out that under the right circumstances, the collective wisdom of the crowd is vastly superior than the intellect of the smartest individual. The book gives compelling examples of why the many are smarter than the few and how collective wisdom influences and really shapes business, economies, societies, and nations. He also points out in his book that he provides another interesting anecdote to prove his wisdom of the crowd theory. He cites Sir Francis Galton, who was a British scientist. He believed that only a very few people, Sir Francis Galton believed that only a very few people had the characteristics necessary to govern society. Galton supposed that only if power and control stayed in the hands of the select, well-bred few could society remain healthy and strong. So he was pretty much elitist. He also believed that Well, he was a cousin actually of Charles Darwin, who wrote The Evolution of the Species. In 1906, he attended a livestock country fair in West England, and Galton stumbled upon a weight guessing contest. A fat cow was on display, and the person who could accurately guess the weight of the cow wins a prize. So if this was a contest here in the Philippines, it would be the fattest pig. So for 6 pence, you will be given a stub ticket wherein you will fill up your name, your address, etc., and you will write down your estimate. So about 800 people joined this competition. Some of those who joined were butchers, farmers, who were presumably expert at judging livestock. But the vast majority of the crowd came from non-agricultural backgrounds, clerks, factory workers, ordinary townspeople with no knowledge about it. Observing the contest, Galton was suddenly hit with an idea. He surmised that the weight guessing contest is literally like a democracy. People of radically different abilities and interests get one ticket, one vote, and are asked to judge the weight of a cow, candidates. The average participant was probably as well fitted for making a just estimate of the cow as an average voter is of judging the merits of political issues on which he votes. Galton wrote in his journal, he was interested in finding out what the average voter was capable of because he wanted to prove that the average voter was capable of very little. After the contest, Galton borrowed the tickets from the organizers and ran a series of statistical tests on them. The mean number, in a way, represented the collective wisdom of the West England crowd. If the crowd were a single person, that was how it would have guessed the cow's weight. Galton thought that the crowd's guess would be way off the mark, but he was wrong. The crowd had guessed that the weight of the cow was 1,197 pounds. The real weight of the cow was 1,198 pounds. In other words, the crowd's judgment was essentially perfect. What Francis Galton discovered that day was the empirical proof of the wisdom of the crowds, the simple but powerful truth that under the right circumstances, groups are remarkably intelligent and are often smarter than the smartest people in the group. This belief that the collective wisdom of the crowd is superior to the personal judgment of even the most exceptional individual leader lies at the heart and is really the main rationale for the freedom of information. I sense that resistance to FOI by some quarters of our society really emanates from this misappreciation of the crowd and the misconception that the FOI will be disruptive government operations at best, mob rule at worst. This sentiment is perhaps echoed by a character, Colonel Jessup, Jack Nicholson, in A Few Good Men, I think by Aaron Sorkin. Anyway, when he said, "You can't handle the truth," implying that people simply cannot handle the truth and that the truth must sometimes be hidden from them so they can all go on live their merry lives. The most serious challenge, therefore, to FOI is the conventional wisdom that the Filipino people do not know any better and that for our country to develop, our people must be governed by a well-educated, well-born elite few. Whether we admit it or not, this has been basically maybe the rationale by some. What, after all, will the people do with all the information that will be made available to them after the FOI? For some people, this wisdom of the crowd concept is counterintuitive, erroneous even, because we have been taught to believe that people that people more intelligent than us know better. From childhood to adulthood, we have been conditioned to trust and defer to the decisions of people better than us, and we have learned to accept the opinion of the so-called experts as gospel truth. I'm sure many of us here are not that kind of people. Throughout history, the Philippines has been ruled by people who were superior to us, bar top-notchers, men and women of exceptional talent and keen intellect. We were all led to believe that they knew what's best for our country, and we allowed them to decide our country's future for us. And where did it get us? As we have seen, centralized planning and decision-making do not always work. Policy decisions made at the top by an elite few, even with the best of interest at heart, did not work because there was no prior consultation, no buy-in from the people. Government policies failed simply because our people did not understand wholly what these programs were seeking to accomplish for them. So, but without going through each provision of the FOI Senate version, because I'm sure that some of you have read it already, and it will take a while if I have to go through each of them, I would like to highlight the strengths of this version to allay maybe the fears of others that it might be unwieldy later on if it's approved. Number one, here are the strong points of the FOI. There's always a legal presumption for the right to information. Number two, there's an automatic uploading of pertinent information, including the SALN of anyone in the government with salary grade 26 and above, plus heads of agencies and office in all the websites of the government agencies. Number three, there are remedies, both judicial and administrative, that are clearly specified. Number four, there's a period of declassification because some of you will be worried about the presidential communications privilege. The power of the president to withhold information if he thinks that, that this could disrupt national security. There's a period of declassification for him to make sure that the information will be available for public scrutiny. Number five, criminal and administrative penalties are clear. Number six, there are archiving provisions. For example, which information can be discarded after 5 years, but which of them will have to be kept forever. For example, investigations to graft and corruption, certain bids and awards given by the government. Number seven, protection of individuals' right to privacy. This is something that we did not forget while doing the freedom of information. The individual's right to privacy is still protected. Number eight, disclosure of information between private contractors and details of their transactions with the government. So any private contractor who enters with a deal with the government has to be ready to be able to show the portion of their deal that has to be, the portion of their contract that has any dealings with the government. Number nine, there are still national security controls. So maybe some of you might question, but with all of these national security controls, what if the president or anyone uses national security as an excuse? There's also a provision that says the FOI or national security cannot be used to cover up a wrongful act. That's why, together with the Freedom of Information, we also have to pass the Whistleblowers Protection Act. So for the past year and a half, the news has been and continues to be about the PDAF and the loud whispers about the Malampaya and now the DAP. Right when the president spoke, the DBM uploaded the information on where most of the DAP projects went. Can you imagine if we had an FOI even before the money was spent? The DBM will be compelled to present and post the projects beforehand, not just after the fact. Just yesterday, PDI mentioned in one of its articles that Mindanao, through the efforts of this administration, is getting a lot of financial support. From 2010, I think they had about 10 billion, which now in 2014, the budget will give them about 20 billion additional funds for the success of the ARMM, the Bangsamoro. Also in this article, it basically said, how are we able to determine how our countrymen in Mindanao are actually doing now? In fact, when you look at it, it seems that their plight is unchanged. There's still problems about health, education, and security. I think that if this is detailed more in a particular website, the Bangsamoro group, the Mindanao group of Secretary Antonino, if all of this is posted where the money goes, then we will have less doubts about how the government is spending all of these funds that are supposed to uplift the lives of our countrymen. Granted, it takes years to improve on decades of neglect, but should the government not start detailing all of these, not just in Mindanao, but all over the country? I believe that the masa is not dumb, and ang Pilipino po ay hindi tanga. Nagmumukha lang tayong tanga dahil kulang tayo sa sapat na impormasyon. Our people want information. They crave for information about what their government is doing and not doing for them. And today's generation of Filipinos want information fast and they want it free. We cannot expect today's youth to line up just to get their desired data or document. They want the information posted instantly, downloadable on a government website. Today's generation want information quite literally at their fingertips. At sa pamamagitan ng FOI, mabibigay po natin sa taong bayan ang kagustuhan nilang mas maintindihan ang kanilang gobyerno. In 2012, the Philippine government signed partnerships with the open government partnerships of different countries. We are the first ones that signed, and part of the condition is that you should have a freedom of information in your country. And we still don't have it until now. Now, what does this provide? The open government partnerships should have the government encourage its people to participate in government by A, having a freedom of information, by having information readily available. And part of it also is to secure that the information given to the people is easily sorted through. Because I'm sure some of you here are lawyers, you will know, in the US in particular, if they don't want a case to be able, if they want it difficult, let's say, for the other party to understand the case, they will give that party so much documents and so many facts that it will be so difficult to sort through it. In the same way with the government should be able to provide an easy index for the people to be able to go through information. And if they want to go into certain particular information, then they can go to the agency itself. In the FOI, I think part of the thing that you will also discuss is that in our bill, in our act, the FOI Act of the Senate, the National Computer Center together with the DOST will help every government agency to be compliant within 2 to 3 years. So even the local government has to have some sort of working website so that people can also scrutinize what's going on in the local scene. As you know, the focus has been in the Senate and in Congress with regards to the use of our funds and the different main agencies of the government. But local government is also very important. With the FOI, it's like doing pest control, basically, in all areas of the government. If you only treat one area and you don't go to the other areas of government, then whatever you're trying to contain in one area and to be able to control in one area will just move to the other area. So what we're saying is that when we pass the FOI bill, it should include all areas of government, particularly also the local government units. So, sa pamamagitan ng FOI, mabibigyan po natin sa taong bayan ang kagustuhan nilang mas maintindihan ang kanilang gobyerno. Thus, the true value of the FOI is not only that it will prevent graft and corruption, more importantly, it will teach our people to participate and get involved, makialam sa palakad ng kanilang gobyerno. A strong FOI empowers the people. It gives them knowledge. It allows them to make informed judgments. Let us embolden every Filipino to be true stakeholders in government. They should not just have an opinion of what's happening. They should have the information of what's really happening. Now, Thomas Jefferson once said, "When people fear the government, there is tyranny. But when the government fear the people, there is liberty." And again, the FOI is our ammunition against graft and corruption, and it will keep our government leaders on their toes. Thank you again for this opportunity, and I would like to thank you for all the work that you've done to help us pass the Freedom of Information Bill in the Senate. And now I am confident that with our partners in the lower house, particularly with Congresswoman Leni Robredo, that we have a good fighting chance. Maraming salamat po.